I don't think. I know. 10-year-old Sky stood in the middle of a boardroom full of adults. They all stared at her like she was crazy. The billionaire, Richard Blackstone, sat at the head of the table. His face was hard. Cold. Behind him, a screen flashed red letters, "Deal terminated. $50 million. Gone." "You have 30 seconds, Richard said. Talk." Sky's hands shook, but her voice didn't. "Your computer made a mistake. One word. That's why the deal died." People laughed. A woman in a fancy suit smiled. "You think a child knows better than our $2 million system?" Sky looked her in the eye. "I don't think. I know." Richard leaned forward. "Show me." Sky walked to the screen. She pointed at one Japanese word. "This. Your computer said it means servant. But in business, it means partner. You just told the Japanese CEO he works for you like a servant." One man checked the translation. His face went white. She's right." The room went silent. Richard didn't move. He just stared at Sky. "Fix it," he said. Sky picked up the tablet. Her fingers moved fast. She typed. Corrected. Sent. She showed him the screen. Perfect. Richard looked at her for a long time. Then he asked, "Who taught you Japanese?" "My mother." "Where is she?" Sky's eyes dropped. "Home. She's sick. I came here because I need money. For her medicine." Richard nodded once. "Done. Someone pay her." But Sky shook her head. "No. I don't want free money. I fixed your deal. Pay me for my work." The entire room froze. No one had ever spoken to Richard Blackstone like that. He stared at her. His face didn't change. Then he smiled. "Just a little. What's your name?" "Sky." Richard stood up. He walked toward her. Slowly. Everyone watched. He stopped in front of her and said, "You just saved $50 million, Sky. The money is yours." Sky's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." Richard nodded. "My driver will take you home. Go get your mother that medicine." Sky ran out of the room. But what she didn't know was this. By the time she got home, it would already be too late. The moment Sky left, the room exploded. Did that just happen? A 10-year-old just saved us $50 million. How did she know? Richard stood at the window, staring out at the city. He didn't say a word. His assistant, Marcus, walked up beside him. "Sir, should we send the payment now?" Richard nodded. "Double it. And make sure the medicine gets to her mother today." Marcus left. But one executive, a man named Derek, wasn't happy. He stood up. "Richard, with all due respect, we just let a child embarrass our entire AI department. What does that say about us?" Richard turned slowly. His eyes were ice. "It says we hired the wrong people." Derek's face went red. He sat down. Richard walked back to the table. He tapped the screen where Sky had fixed the translation. This child saw what a $2 million system missed. In 30 seconds. He looked around the room. Does anyone here understand what that means? Silence. Richard's voice dropped. It means we've been trusting machines more than people. And today, a little girl reminded us that heart beats code. One woman raised her hand. What do we do now? Richard smiled. But it wasn't a happy smile. We call Nakamura Industries back. We apologize. We tell them the error was fixed by someone who actually understands respect. He paused. And we never make this mistake again. Marcus returned 20 minutes later. He whispered something in Richard's ear. Richard's face changed. "What?" he said, louder than he meant to. Marcus repeated it. "Sir, we sent people to her address. The mother, she's in bad condition. Really bad. The medicine might not." Richard cut him off. "I don't care what it costs. Get the best doctors. Now." Marcus nodded and ran out. Richard sat down. For the first time in years, he felt something he didn't recognize. Fear. Not for himself. For her. The meeting ended. People left. But Richard stayed. He stared at the screen. At the single word Sky had fixed. Partner. He whispered it to himself. Partner. Then his phone rang. It was Marcus. Richard answered. "Talk to me." Marcus's voice was shaking. "Sir, we're too late." Richard's hand froze. "What do you mean?" "The mother. She." The phone slipped from Richard's hand. He didn't hear the rest. Because deep down, he already knew. Richard didn't sleep that night. He sat in his office, alone, staring at nothing. The next morning, Marcus walked in with an envelope. "Sir, this is the payment for Sky. Should I send it to her address?" Richard looked at the envelope. Then he stood up. "No. I'll take it myself." Marcus blinked. "You?" Richard grabbed his coat. "Yes. Me." 30 minutes later, Richard's black car pulled up in front of a small, broken-down apartment building. Paint peeling. Windows cracked. He stepped out. People stared. A billionaire in a suit didn't belong here. Richard climbed the stairs. He knocked on the door. No answer. He knocked again. The door opened. Sky stood there. Her eyes were red. Swollen. She'd been crying. Richard's chest tightened. "Sky," he said quietly. She didn't say anything. She just stared at him. Richard held out the envelope. "This is your payment. For saving the deal." Sky looked at it. Then at him. "My mother died last night." Richard froze. Sky's voice was flat. Empty. "The medicine came this morning. But she was already gone." Richard's hand dropped. The envelope fell to the floor. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Sky shook her head. "Sorry doesn't bring her back." Richard didn't know what to say. For the first time in his life, words failed him. Sky bent down and picked up the envelope. She opened it. Inside was a check. For $500,000. She stared at it. Then she tore it in half. Richard's eyes went wide. "What are you doing?" Sky looked at him. Her voice was calm. Cold. "I didn't want money, Mr. Blackstone. I wanted respect. I wanted you to see me. Not as a child. Not as someone begging. But as someone who knew something you didn't." She stepped closer. "You gave me money because you felt guilty. Not because you valued my work." Richard's throat went dry. Sky handed him the torn check. "Keep it. I don't need your guilt." She started to close the door. But Richard stopped it with his hand. "Wait." Sky paused. Richard's voice cracked. "You're right. I didn't see you. I saw a problem I could fix with money. But you're not a problem. You're..." He stopped. Sky looked at him. Waiting. Richard took a breath. "You're someone I should have listened to sooner." Sky's eyes softened. Just a little. Richard knelt down. eye to eye with her. I can't bring your mother back. But I can promise you this, I will never ignore you again. And I will make sure the world doesn't either. Sky stared at him for a long time. Then she whispered, prove it. Richard nodded. I will. Sky closed the door. Richard stood there, alone in the hallway. He looked down at the torn check in his hand. And for the first time in 20 years, Richard Blackstone cried. But what he didn't know was, Sky was watching him through the window. And she believed him. The funeral was 2 days later. Richard didn't ask if he could come. He just showed up. It was raining. Hard. The cemetery was empty except for Sky and an old priest. Richard stood at the back, under a black umbrella. Watching. Sky stood in front of a simple wooden casket. No flowers. No family. Just her. She didn't cry. She just stared. The priest said a few words. Sky nodded. Then it was over. The workers lowered the casket into the ground. Sky watched the whole thing. Silent. When it was done, everyone left. Except Richard. He walked forward slowly. His shoes sank into the mud. Sky heard him coming. She didn't turn around. Richard stopped beside her. He held out his umbrella to cover her. You'll get sick, he said quietly. Sky shook her head. I don't care. Richard stood there with her. In the rain. In the silence. Minutes passed. Finally, Sky spoke. She used to work for you. Richard froze. Sky turned to look at him. Rain ran down her face. 10 years ago. My mother worked at Pinnacle Corporation. In the translation department. Richard's heart sank. You fired her, Sky continued. Because she made one mistake. One word. Just like your AI did. Richard's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Sky's voice didn't shake. She spent the rest of her life cleaning offices. But she never stopped teaching me. She said, one day, someone will see your worth. Don't let them ignore you. Richard's chest felt tight. I didn't know, he whispered. Sky nodded. I know. That's why I came to your office. I wanted to show you what she taught me. I wanted you to see what you threw away. Richard's hands trembled. I'm sorry. Sky looked back at the grave. She forgave you a long time ago. She said people make mistakes. But she also said, some mistakes cost more than money. Richard's throat burned. Sky knelt down. She placed her hand on the wet dirt. Goodbye, Mama. She stood up. Turned to leave. Richard grabbed her arm gently. Wait. Sky stopped. Richard's voice cracked. Let me fix this. Please. Sky looked at him. You can't fix death. I know. But I can fix everything else. Richard knelt down in the mud. I level with her. I will pay for your school. Your home. Your future. Everything. Sky pulled her arm away. I don't want charity. It's not charity, Richard said quickly. It's a debt. I owe your mother. Let me repay it through you. Sky stared at him. Rain poured between them. I'll accept, she said. But only if I earn it. I work for everything. No free money. Richard nodded. Deal. Sky turned and walked away. Richard stayed kneeling in the mud, staring at the grave. He whispered, I'm sorry I didn't see her. But I see her daughter now. He stood up. Covered in mud. Soaked. But something had changed inside him. And he didn't know it yet. But this little girl was about to change his entire empire. 1 week later, Richard kept his promise. He showed up at Sky's apartment with papers. School is paid for. Rent is covered for the next 5 years. And this, he handed her a tablet, is your employee ID. You work for me now. Sky looked at the screen. Sky Morgan, Junior Consultant, Pinnacle Corporation. She looked up at him. Junior Consultant? I'm 10. Richard smiled. And you're smarter than half my staff. You start Monday. Sky stared at the tablet. Then she nodded. Okay. Richard turned to leave. Mr. Blackstone. He stopped. Sky's voice was softer now. Thank you. Richard looked back. Don't thank me yet. You're going to work hard. Sky smiled for the first time since her mother died. Good. Monday came fast. Sky walked into Pinnacle Corporation wearing a backpack and sneakers. People stared. Whispers followed her down the hall. That's the kid. She's actually working here. This is ridiculous. Sky ignored them. She walked straight to Richard's office. Marcus met her at the door. Morning, Sky. Mr. Blackstone is in a meeting, but he left instructions for you. He handed her a folder. Review these contracts. Flag anything that looks off. Report back by lunch. Sky opened the folder. 20 pages. All in Japanese. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Can you handle that? Sky looked at him. Yes. She sat down at a desk in the corner. Pulled out a pen. And got to work. 2 hours later, she walked into the meeting room. Richard was mid-sentence when the door opened. Everyone turned. Sky walked in. Calm. Confident. Mr. Blackstone, I found 3 errors. The room went silent. Richard gestured. Show me. Sky placed the folder on the table. She pointed to the first page. This clause says, temporary partnership. But the Japanese phrasing implies, trial period. They think you don't trust them. One executive leaned forward. That's a stretch. Sky didn't look at him. She flipped to the next page. This sentence says, we look forward to future cooperation. But in Japanese, it sounds like you're ending the relationship. It's a goodbye, not a welcome. Another executive checked his phone. His face changed. She's right. Richard leaned back. And the third? Sky flipped to the last page. This one's the worst. You used the word, client. But in this context, it translates to, subordinate. You're telling them they work under you. The room erupted. How did we miss this? Who approved this? Richard raised his hand. Silence. He looked at Sky. Fix it. Sky nodded. She took the tablet and started typing. 5 minutes later, she handed it back. Perfect. Richard scanned it. Then he looked around the room. This is why she's here. Learn from her. People nodded. Some looked embarrassed. Others looked impressed. Sky turned to leave. Sky. She stopped. Richard smiled. Welcome to the team. Sky nodded. But as she walked out, one man in the back whispered to his colleague. That kid just made us all look like fools. His colleague whispered back, wait till the executives hear about this. And in the shadows, someone was already planning to take her down. Wait, who's plotting against a 10-year-old? Drop your guess in the comments right now. And if you're hooked, hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. This story is just getting started. 3 months passed. Sky came to Pinnacle Corporation every day after school. She reviewed contracts, fixed translations, sat in meetings. At first, people laughed. But slowly, they stopped laughing. Because Sky was never wrong. One afternoon, Richard called her into his office. "Sit," he said. Sky sat. Richard slid a paper across the desk. "Read this." It was a contract. In Chinese. Sky scanned it. Her eyes stopped halfway down the page. "This is bad," she said. Richard nodded. "I know. But I want to hear it from you." Sky pointed to a section. "They're offering you 30% profit share. But buried in this clause, they take full ownership of your patent after 3 years." Richard leaned forward. "Meaning?" "Meaning they're not partners. They're stealing from you. Legally." Richard smiled. "That's exactly what my lawyer said. Took him 6 hours. Took you 2 minutes." Sky handed the paper back. "So what do you do?" Richard tore the contract in half. "I say no." He stood up and walked to the window. "You know what I've learned from you, Sky?" She shook her head. "That the most dangerous lies are the ones wrapped in pretty words." He turned to face her. "You see through them. Every time." Sky didn't respond. Richard sat on the edge of his desk. "I want to make you a promise." Sky looked up. "I will never let anyone take advantage of you. And I will make sure you have everything you need to become unstoppable." Sky's voice was quiet. "Why?" Richard's face softened. "Because your mother didn't get that chance. But you will." Sky's eyes burned, but she didn't cry. "Thank you," she whispered. Richard nodded. "Now get out of here. You have homework." Sky stood and walked to the door. But before she left, she turned back. "Mr. Blackstone?" "Yeah. You're not like the others." Richard raised an eyebrow. "What others?" "The people who pretend to care." "You actually do." Richard didn't know what to say. Sky left. He sat there for a long time, staring at the door. Then his assistant, Marcus, walked in. "Sir, we have a problem." Richard's face hardened. "What now?" Marcus handed him a tablet. "Someone leaked a story to the press. About Sky." Richard grabbed it. The headline read, "Billionaire hires 10-year-old girl, publicity stunt or exploitation." Richard's jaw clenched. "Who leaked this?" Marcus hesitated. "We don't know yet. But it's getting attention. Fast." Richard stood. "Find out who did this. Now." Marcus nodded and left. Richard stared at the screen. Comments flooded in. "This is child labor. He's using her for good PR. She's just a kid. Let her be a kid." Richard's hands shook. Not from anger. From fear. Because for the first time, he realized. The world was watching Sky now. And not everyone wanted her to succeed. The article went viral overnight. News channels picked it up. Social media exploded. Some people defended Sky. Others attacked Richard. But Sky didn't care. She showed up to work the next day like nothing happened. Richard met her at the door. "Sky, maybe you should stay home for a while. Until this calms down." Sky looked at him. "Did I do something wrong?" "No. But people are talking." "Let them talk," Sky said. "I have work to do." She walked past him. Richard stood there, stunned. Then he smiled. That day, Sky sat in on a meeting with the executive team. 12 men and women in expensive suits. And one 10-year-old girl in a school uniform. The topic was a new deal with a German tech company. The lead negotiator, a man named Steven, presented the terms. They're offering us exclusive rights to their software for 5 years. In return, we give them access to our client base. Everyone nodded. Except Sky. She raised her hand. Steven stopped. Yes. That's a bad deal, Sky said. The room went quiet. Steven's smile faded. Excuse me. Sky stood up. You're giving them your clients. That's your most valuable asset. And in return, you get software that expires in 5 years. Steven's face turned red. It's exclusive software. That they'll update and sell to your competitors in 6 years, Sky interrupted. You'll be left with nothing. One woman leaned forward. She has a point. Steven glared at Sky. With all due respect, this deal took months to negotiate. Then negotiate better, Sky said calmly. Or don't do it at all. Richard leaned back in his chair. Watching. Steven's voice rose. I don't think a child understands the complexity. I understand you're about to lose this company millions, Sky said. The room gasped. Steven slammed his hand on the table. Richard, are you going to let her disrespect me like this? Richard looked at Sky. Then at Steven. Is she wrong? Steven's mouth opened. Then closed. Richard stood. I didn't think so. Sky, rewrite the terms. Steven, you're off this deal. Steven's face went white. You can't be serious. I'm very serious. Get out. Steven stormed out. The rest of the room stared at Sky. She sat back down. Calm. Unbothered. One executive whispered to another, she just got Steven fired. No, the other whispered back. Steven got himself fired. After the meeting, Richard walked Sky to the elevator. You made an enemy today, he said. Sky pressed the button. I made the right call. Richard smiled. You did. But be careful. Not everyone here wants you to win. The elevator doors opened. Sky stepped inside. I know. The doors closed. Richard stood there. Thinking. Then Marcus appeared beside him. Sir, we found out who leaked the story. Richard's eyes darkened. Who? Marcus hesitated. It was Steven. Richard's jaw tightened. Get me everything on him. Every email. Every deal. Every mistake. Marcus nodded. What are you going to do? Richard's voice was ice. I'm going to make sure he never works in this city again. But what Richard didn't know was, Steven wasn't done. And his next move would put Sky in real danger. 2 weeks later, Pinnacle Corporation prepared for its biggest meeting of the year. Mr. Tanaka, a powerful investor from Japan, was flying in. He controlled billions. If he invested in Pinnacle, the company would double in size. If he walked away, competitors would crush them. Richard gathered his top team in the conference room. This meeting decides our future, he said. No mistakes. Everyone nodded. Then the door opened. Sky walked in. Richard smiled. You're here. One executive, a woman named Claire, frowned. Richard, this is too important. Maybe Sky should sit this one out. Sky didn't react. She just sat down. Richard's voice was firm. She stays. Claire didn't argue. But her eyes said everything. An hour later, Mr. Tanaka arrived. He was older. Calm. Sharp eyes that missed nothing. He bowed. Richard bowed back. They sat. The presentation began. Charts. Numbers. Projections. Mr. Tanaka listened. His face didn't change. 30 minutes in, he raised his hand. Stop. Everyone froze. Mr. Tanaka leaned forward. I have seen your numbers. They are impressive. But I have one question. Richard nodded. Anything. Mr. Tanaka's eyes scanned the room. Then landed on Sky. Why is there a child in this meeting? The room held its breath. Richard opened his mouth to answer. But Sky spoke first. Because I'm the one who saved this company 6 months ago. Claire's eyes went wide. Mr. Tanaka raised an eyebrow. Explain. Sky stood. Your language was mistranslated in a contract. The word partner was changed to servant. The deal almost died. I fixed it. Mr. Tanaka's expression didn't change. And you speak Japanese? Hi. Watashi wa hanashimasu. Yes. I do. Mr. Tanaka's eyes flickered. Surprise. Respect. He responded in Japanese. Doko de naramashita ka? Where did you learn? Sky answered without hesitation. Hahakara. From my mother. Mr. Tanaka leaned back. He looked at Richard. You let a child teach your executives? Richard smiled. She teaches me too. Mr. Tanaka studied Sky for a long moment. Then he stood. Everyone tensed. Mr. Tanaka walked over to Sky. He bowed. Deep. Respectful. You have a soul of honor, he said in English. That is rare. Sky bowed back. Mr. Tanaka turned to Richard. I will invest. But on one condition. Richard's heart raced. Name it. Mr. Tanaka pointed at Sky. She reviews every contract we sign. In Japanese. In English. In any language necessary. Richard blinked. You want her to. I trust her, Mr. Tanaka said simply. More than I trust your lawyers. The room exploded into whispers. Richard looked at Sky. Can you do that? Sky nodded. Yes. Mr. Tanaka smiled. Then we have a deal. He shook Richard's hand. The meeting ended. As everyone filed out, Claire pulled Richard aside. You're giving a 10-year-old that much power. Richard looked at her. She just earned us $1 billion investor. What have you done today? Claire's face burned. She walked away. Sky stood by the window. Watching the city. Richard walked up beside her. You okay? Sky nodded. Mama would be proud. Richard's chest tightened. She would. Sky turned to him. Mr. Blackstone. Yeah. People are going to hate me more now. Aren't they? Richard didn't lie. Yes. Sky looked back out the window. Good, she said quietly. That means I'm doing something right. Richard stared at her. This kid was different. And the world was about to find out just how different. Sky turned 11. No party. No cake. Just work. But something changed in her. She started asking Richard questions. Why do people mistrust translations? Why do machines get it wrong? Why can't we build something better? Richard didn't have answers. So Sky decided to find them herself. She spent nights in the Pinnacle Research Lab. Alone. Reading. Testing. Writing code. Marcus found her there one night at 2 a.m. Sky, you should be home. She didn't look up. I'm working. On what? Sky turned her screen toward him. Lines of code. Translation algorithms. Emotional analysis models. Marcus's eyes went wide. Did you write this? Sky nodded. It's not done yet. But it will be. What is it? Sky's eyes lit up. A translator that understands feelings. Not just words. Marcus stared. That's impossible. Sky smiled. Mama used to say, impossible just means no one tried hard enough yet. 3 months later, Sky presented her project to Richard. She called it Heartspeak. Richard sat in his office. Sky stood in front of his desk with a laptop. Show me, he said. Sky typed a sentence in English, I'm fine. The AI translated it to Japanese. But then it did something else. A second box appeared. Emotional context, subject may be hiding distress. Tone suggests discomfort. Richard leaned forward. Wait. It reads emotion. Sky nodded. Words lie. Tone doesn't. Heartspeak analyzes phrasing, structure, and cultural context to detect what people really mean. Richard's mind raced. Do it again. Sky typed another sentence, thank you for your time. Translation appeared. Then the emotional analysis, tone, formal dismissal. Subject is ending conversation without further engagement. Richard's mouth opened. This is revolutionary, Sky finished. Richard stood. He paced. If this works, if it actually works, it changes everything. Sky closed the laptop. It works. I tested it on 20 languages. Same result. Richard stopped. How much do you need to finish it? 2 million. For servers. Research team. Testing. Richard didn't hesitate. Done. Sky's eyes widened. Just like that. Richard smiled. Just like that. He walked to the window. You know what this means, right? Sky shook her head. It means you're not just an employee anymore. Richard turned to face her. You're an inventor. Sky's chest swelled. For the first time since her mother died, she felt it. Pride. Richard pulled out his phone. I'm calling the board. We're launching this. But before he could dial, the door burst open. Claire stormed in. Richard, we have a problem. Richard's face hardened. What now? Claire threw a tablet on his desk. The headline read, Child Prodigy or Corporate Puppet? Inside Pinnacle's Exploitation Scandal. Richard's jaw clenched. Sky picked up the tablet. She read silently. The article tore her apart. Called her a pawn. Said Richard was using her for profit. Claimed she had no childhood. Sky's hands shook. Richard took the tablet from her. Ignore this. I can't, Sky whispered. Everyone's going to see it. Richard knelt in front of her. Listen to me. They don't know you. They don't know what you've built. And when Heartspeak launches, they'll have no choice but to respect you. Sky's eyes filled with tears. What if they don't? Richard's voice was steel. Then we prove them wrong. Sky nodded. But deep down, she felt it. The world wasn't ready for her. And some people would do anything to stop her. 4 years passed. Sky was now 15. Heartspeak launched worldwide. Governments used it. Corporations bought it. Diplomats relied on it. It became the most trusted translation tool on Earth. And Sky became famous. News outlets called her the genius translator. Magazines put her face on covers. Tech conferences begged her to speak. At first, Sky said no. But Richard pushed her. The world needs to hear your story. So she agreed. The Global Youth Summit in Geneva. 5,000 people in the audience. Leaders. innovators, journalists, all waiting to hear from a 15-year-old girl. Sky walked onto the stage. The room went silent. She stood at the microphone. No notes. No script. Just her. My mother cleaned office floors, she began. The audience leaned in. She never finished college. Never traveled the world. Never wore a suit like yours. Some people shifted uncomfortably. But she spoke 6 languages. And she taught me something no school ever could. Sky paused. She said, machines speak fast. But hearts speak true. The room was frozen. I built HeartSpeak because I saw what happens when we trust code more than people. We miss the truth. We miss the pain. We miss the meaning. She looked across the crowd. Words can connect us. Or they can divide us. It depends on whether we listen with our ears, or with our hearts. Silence. Then one person stood. Then another. Then the entire room. Standing ovation. Cameras flashed. Sky didn't smile. She just nodded and walked off stage. Backstage, Richard was waiting. You just made history, he said. Sky looked at him. Did I? Richard laughed. 5 million people are watching that speech live right now. Sky's eyes widened. Her phone buzzed. Then again. Then it didn't stop. Notifications flooded in. Messages. Emails. Interview requests. Richard gently took the phone from her hand. You don't have to read them all. But Sky grabbed it back. She scrolled. Most messages were kind. You inspire me. Thank you for your work. You're changing the world. But then she saw others. She's too young to understand real business. This is all Richard Blackstone's doing. She's just the face. Probably didn't even build it herself. Sky's face fell. Richard saw it. Ignore them. I can't, Sky said. They think I'm fake. Richard crouched down to her level. Do you know what you are? Sky shook her head. You're a threat, Richard said. To everyone who said kids can't lead. To everyone who underestimated you. That's why they attack. Sky looked at him. So what do I do? Richard smiled. You keep building. Keep proving them wrong. Until they have no choice but to believe. Sky nodded. But as they left the building, a man in a dark coat watched from across the street. He pulled out his phone. Typed a message. She's getting too much attention. Time to take her down. He hit send. Then disappeared into the crowd. And somewhere far away, someone received that message. Someone who had been waiting. Someone who had a plan. And that plan was about to destroy everything Sky had built. Oh no. Someone's coming for Sky. Comment below if you think she'll survive this, and subscribe because the next chapter changes everything. You don't want to miss this twist. 2 weeks after the summit, Sky walked into Pinnacle Corporation and felt it. Something was wrong. People weren't looking at her the same way. Whispers stopped when she passed. Eyes darted away. She found Richard in his office. He looked tired. What's happening? Sky asked. Richard rubbed his face. Sit down. Sky sat. Richard slid a document across the desk. It was a patent application. For HeartSpeak. But the name on it wasn't hers. It was Derek Henson. The same executive who questioned her years ago. Sky's blood went cold. What is this? Derek filed a patent claim yesterday, Richard said. He's saying he invented HeartSpeak. That you were just his assistant. Sky's hands shook. That's a lie. I know. Then why aren't you stopping him? Richard's voice was heavy. Because he has evidence. Sky's heart dropped. What evidence? Richard pulled up an email on his screen. It was from Derek to the development team. Dated 6 months before Sky started working on HeartSpeak. The subject line, Emotional AI Translation Project, Initial Concept. Sky read it. Her chest tightened. He wrote about the idea first, Richard said quietly. His lawyers are claiming you stole it from him. Sky stood up. I never saw this email. I didn't even know he was working on this. I believe you, Richard said. But the board doesn't. Not yet. Sky's voice cracked. So what happens now? Richard looked at her. There's a hearing tomorrow. You'll have to defend yourself. Sky felt like the floor disappeared under her. In front of who? The board. The lawyers. The press. Sky's breathing quickened. They're going to destroy me. Richard stood and walked around the desk. Not if you fight back. How? Sky whispered. He has proof. I don't. Richard placed his hands on her shoulders. You have the truth. And you have me. The next day, the hearing room was packed. Board members. Lawyers. Journalists with cameras. Derek sat on one side. Confident. Smiling. Sky sat on the other. Alone. Richard stood behind her. The chairman opened the session. We're here to determine the rightful inventor of HeartSpeak. Mr. Henson, present your case. Derek stood. Thank you. As you can see from the email dated March 14th, I proposed the concept of emotional translation AI long before Miss Morgan joined this company. He clicked through slides. Emails. Notes. Drafts. All with his name on them. Miss Morgan may have contributed to the coding. But the idea was mine. The patent should reflect that. The room murmured. The chairman looked at Sky. Miss Morgan, your response. Sky stood slowly. Her voice was quiet at first. Mr. Henson is right about one thing. Derek's smile widened. He did write that email, Sky continued. But he never built anything. She pulled out her laptop. I have every draft. Every test. Every line of code. All time-stamped. All written by me. She connected her laptop to the screen. Code filled the display. This is HeartSpeak's core algorithm. Written in Python. Date, June 6th. She scrolled. This is the emotional analysis module. Written in JavaScript. Date, July 22nd. She looked at Derek. Mr. Henson, can you explain what this function does? Derek's smile faded. I don't need to. Because you didn't write it, Sky said. You wrote an idea. I built the reality. The room went silent. Sky turned to the chairman. If Mr. Henson invented HeartSpeak, ask him to code it. Right now. In front of everyone. Derek's face went pale. The chairman looked at him. Mr. Henson. Derek stammered. This is ridiculous. Can you code it or not? Sky's voice was steel. Derek's mouth opened. Then closed. He couldn't. The chairman's face hardened. Mr. Henson, step outside. Derek stood. His hands trembled. He walked out. The door closed. Sky sat down. Richard squeezed her shoulder. 5 minutes later, the chairman returned. Miss Morgan, the board has reviewed the evidence. The patent will remain in your name. Sky exhaled. Furthermore, Mr. Henson has been terminated, effective immediately. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Sky didn't move. She just stared at the empty chair where Derek had been sitting. Richard leaned down. "You won." Sky's voice was hollow. "I know." But she didn't feel like a winner. She felt like a target. Because now, everyone knew. She wasn't just smart. She was dangerous. 3 years later, Sky turned 18. And the world couldn't ignore her anymore. Heartspeak was used in every major country. The United Nations adopted it. Hospitals used it to communicate with patients. Schools taught it to students. Sky's face was everywhere. Forbes called her the voice of a generation. Time magazine named her one of the most influential people under 25. And Pinnacle Corporation? It tripled in value. All because of her. Richard stood in front of the board one morning. "Gentlemen. Ladies. I have an announcement." Everyone leaned forward. Richard smiled. "Effective today, Sky Morgan is officially the youngest executive in Pinnacle history." Silence. Then chaos. "She's 18. This is insane. What about experience?" Richard's voice cut through the noise. "She has more value than all of you combined. And if anyone has a problem with that, there's the door." No one moved. Richard looked at Sky, who stood by the window. "Sky, say something." Sky turned. Her voice was calm. "I don't need a title to prove my worth. But I'll take it. Because this company saved my life. And I plan to return the favor." One board member, an older man named George, stood. "With all due respect, Miss Morgan, what makes you think you can lead?" Sky walked to the table. She placed both hands on it. "I built the tool that saved this company. I've reviewed every major contract for the last 7 years. I've brought in 12 international partnerships. And I've done it while people like you doubted me every single day." She looked him in the eye. "So the question isn't whether I can lead. The question is, can you keep up?" George sat down. No one else spoke. Richard grinned. Meeting adjourned. People filed out. But one woman stayed behind. Her name was Victoria Lang. Head of marketing. She approached Sky. "Congratulations." Sky nodded. "Thank you." Victoria's smile was tight. "Just remember, being the youngest executive also makes you the easiest target." Sky's eyes narrowed. "Is that a threat?" Victoria laughed. "No. Just advice." She walked out. Richard came up beside Sky. "Ignore her." Sky shook her head. "She's right. People are waiting for me to fail." Richard turned her to face him. "Then don't." Sky smiled. Small. Sad. "I'll try." That night, Sky stood on the roof of Pinnacle Tower. The city glowed below her. She pulled out her phone and opened her photos. One picture. Old. Faded. Her mother. Smiling. Sky whispered, "I did it, Mama. I'm not invisible anymore." Her phone buzzed. A news alert. Teen exec Sky Morgan, genius or overhyped? Sky's jaw clenched. She clicked the article. The first line read, "Some say Sky Morgan earned her position. Others say she's writing Richard Blackstone's charity. The truth? We may never know." Sky's chest burned. She closed the app. Then another notification appeared. A text. From an unknown number. "Enjoy it while it lasts. The fall is coming." Sky's heart pounded. She looked around the rooftop. Empty. She dialed Richard. He answered immediately. "What's wrong?" I just got a message. Someone's threatening me. Richard's voice turned cold. Forward it to me. Now. Sky sent it. Stay where you are, Richard said. I'm coming. Sky hung up. She stared at the city. And for the first time in years, she felt it again. Fear. Because whoever sent that message wasn't bluffing. And somewhere in the darkness, someone was watching her. Waiting. 3 months later, it happened. A global crisis. Language AI systems around the world started failing. Google Translate mistranslated a peace treaty between India and Pakistan. Amazon's voice assistant told a hospital the wrong medication dosage. Microsoft's AI sent an offensive message to a Chinese ambassador. Chaos erupted. Diplomatic relations shattered. Businesses lost millions. People panicked. News headlines screamed. AI apocalypse, translation systems collapse worldwide. Technology we trusted is killing us. Who can we turn to now? Governments scrambled. Tech giants had no answers. But one system still worked perfectly. HeartSpeak. Sky was in a meeting when Richard burst through the door. Turn on the news. Now. Someone clicked the remote. Every channel showed the same thing. Breakdown. Failure. Panic. Richard looked at Sky. Is HeartSpeak affected? Sky shook her head. No. I built it differently. How differently? Sky stood. I didn't rely on external databases. HeartSpeak runs on isolated servers. It's immune to whatever's attacking the others. Richard's eyes widened. You mean? We're the only ones left standing, Sky finished. Within hours, Sky's phone exploded. Calls from the UN. The White House. European Parliament. The Japanese Prime Minister. Everyone wanted the same thing. HeartSpeak. Sky sat in Richard's office. Her head in her hands. I can't handle this alone. Richard knelt beside her. You're not alone. I'm here. Sky looked up. They're calling me a savior. But what if I can't save them? Richard's voice was firm. You already did. You built the only system that survived. That's not luck. That's genius. Sky's phone rang again. She answered. Miss Morgan, this is Secretary General Okoye from the United Nations. We need your help. Sky put it on speaker. We're facing a diplomatic nightmare, Okoye continued. Mistranslations have caused 3 conflicts in the last 48 hours. We need HeartSpeak deployed globally. Immediately. Sky looked at Richard. He nodded. Sky spoke into the phone. I'll do it. But on one condition. Okoye paused. Name it. I control how it's used. No government owns it. No corporation sells it. It stays independent. Silence on the other end. Then Okoye spoke. Agreed. Sky hung up. Richard stared at her. You just took control of global communication. Sky stood. No. I just made sure no one else does. She walked to the window. The city looked different now. Smaller. Fragile. Richard joined her. You know what this means, right? Sky nodded. It means I'm responsible for billions of people. And it means you're the most powerful 18-year-old on Earth. Sky didn't smile. She just whispered, Mama, I hope I'm ready. The next day, HeartSpeak went live worldwide. Every government. Every hospital. Every school. All using Sky's system. Within 72 hours, conflicts de-escalated. Misunderstandings cleared. Stability returned. The world breathed again. But in a dark room somewhere, a man watched the news. He smiled. Perfect, he muttered. Now everyone depends on her. He opened his laptop. Typed a single command. Phase 2, initiate. A virus loaded. Designed specifically for one target. Heartspeak. He leaned back. Let's see her save the world when her own creation destroys it. He pressed enter. And across the globe, deep in Heartspeak's core servers, something began to change. A line of code. Corrupted. Waiting. 2 weeks after the crisis ended, the media found Sky. Reporters surrounded Pinnacle Tower. Cameras. Microphones. Questions shouted from every direction. Richard's security tried to hold them back. But Sky stepped forward. I'll talk to them. Richard grabbed her arm. You don't have to do this. Sky looked at him. Yes, I do. They deserve answers. She walked outside. The crowd surged. Miss Morgan. How did Heartspeak survive when every other system failed? Are you working with governments now? Some are calling you the most important person in technology. How does that feel? Sky raised her hand. Silence fell. She spoke clearly. Calmly. Heartspeak survived because it was built on a principle my mother taught me. Cameras focused on her face. She said, machines can learn words, but only hearts can understand meaning. A reporter pushed forward. What does that mean exactly? Sky looked directly at the camera. It means I didn't build Heartspeak to be the fastest system. Or the cheapest. I built it to be true. Another reporter shouted, but how is it different technically? Sky's voice didn't waver. Other systems rely on speed and volume. They process millions of translations per second. But they miss context. They miss emotion. They miss truth. She paused. Heartspeak is slower. But it listens. It understands culture. Tone. Intention. That's why it didn't break when the others did. The crowd murmured. One journalist, a woman with sharp eyes, stepped closer. Miss Morgan, critics say you got lucky. That you couldn't have predicted this collapse. What do you say to them? Sky met her gaze. I say they're right. The crowd gasped. I didn't predict this, Sky continued. But I did prepare for it. Because my mother also taught me, if you build something only for profit, it will fail when it matters most. The journalist pressed. So you're saying other companies failed because they were greedy? Sky shook her head. I'm saying they forgot why language exists. It's not just for business. It's for connection. For understanding. For peace. Another voice from the back. What's next for you, Miss Morgan? Sky took a breath. I'm launching a global foundation. Free access to Heartspeak for schools, hospitals, and communities who can't afford it. Chaos erupted. You're giving it away. How will you make money? What about investors? Sky's voice cut through. This was never about money. She turned to walk back inside. But one reporter shouted a final question. Miss Morgan. Do you think your mother would be proud? Sky stopped. She turned back slowly. Her eyes glistened. Every single day, she whispered. I hope she is. She walked inside. The footage went viral within the hour. Clips spread across every platform. The quote, machines can learn words, but only hearts can understand meaning, became the most shared phrase of the year. Comments flooded in. She's the real deal. This generation's hope. Finally, someone who cares. But not everyone was celebrating. In a corporate boardroom across the city, 5 executives watched the interview. One slammed his fist on the table. She's giving it away for free. She's destroying the market. Another nodded. If we don't stop her, she'll collapse the entire translation industry. The man at the head of the table leaned back. His name was Malcolm Steele, CEO of Global Link, HeartSpeak's biggest competitor. He smiled coldly. Then we stop her. He pulled out his phone. Typed a message. Activate the virus. Now. He hit send. Across the world, buried deep in HeartSpeak's servers, the corrupted code awakened. And Sky had no idea. 1 week later, Sky woke up to her phone ringing non-stop. She answered groggily. Hello. It was Richard. His voice was tight. Get to the office. Now. What's wrong? Just come. Sky dressed fast and arrived at Pinnacle Tower 30 minutes later. The lobby was chaos. Reporters everywhere. Security struggled to hold them back. Sky pushed through and took the elevator up. When she reached Richard's office, he was standing at the window. Silent. What happened? Sky asked. Richard turned. His face was pale. He handed her a tablet. The headline read, The Truth About Sky Morgan's Mother, Former Pinnacle Employee Fired by Richard Blackstone. Sky's hands went cold. She read further. The article had everything. Her mother's employment records. Her termination letter. The reason. Consistent translation errors. Photos of her mother cleaning offices years later. And the final line, did Richard Blackstone create Sky Morgan's success to cover his guilt? Sky's chest tightened. How did they get this? She whispered. Richard's jaw clenched. Someone leaked it. From inside the company. Sky looked up. Who? I don't know yet. But whoever it is wanted this to go public now. Right when you're at your peak. Sky sat down slowly. Her phone buzzed. Text after text. Is it true? Did you know? Was your whole story a lie? She threw the phone on the desk. Richard knelt in front of her. Sky, listen to me. You fired my mother, Sky said quietly. Richard's voice cracked. I did. Why? Richard looked away. She made mistakes. Small ones. But back then, I didn't care about small. I only cared about perfect. Sky's eyes filled with tears. She lost everything because of you. I know. And you never told me. Richard's hands shook. Because I was ashamed. Because I didn't know how to face you with that truth. Sky stood. You should have told me. I know. She walked to the door. Richard's voice broke. Sky, please. She stopped but didn't turn around. I forgave you a long time ago, she said softly. But the world won't. She left. By noon, the story had exploded. Every news outlet covered it. Social media erupted. Richard Blackstone used Sky to fix his guilt. This whole thing was a PR stunt. She's just a puppet. Sky locked herself in her apartment. She sat on the floor, staring at a photo of her mother. Her phone rang. She ignored it. It rang again. And again. Finally, she answered. It was a reporter. Miss Morgan, is it true your mother worked for Pinnacle? Sky's voice was steady. Yes. And Richard Blackstone fired her? Yes. The reporter paused. So everything you built, was it revenge? Sky's eyes hardened. No, she said. It was proof. Proof of what? Sky stood up. Walked to the window. Proof that my mother was right. That her work mattered. That she wasn't a mistake. The reporter pressed. But don't you feel used by Richard Blackstone? Sky's voice was sharp. No one uses me. I built HeartSpeak. I saved those deals. I earned my place. She paused. My mother didn't get her chance. But I did. And I'm not wasting it. She hung up. The interview clip went live within minutes. Comments poured in. But this time, they were different. She's not backing down. Respect. This girl is unbreakable. But in a dark office across the city, Malcolm Steele watched the interview and smiled. Good, he muttered. Let her fight back. It'll make her fall even sweeter. He opened his laptop. Checked the virus status. Status, active. Corruption at 23%. Estimated full collapse, 72 hours. He leaned back. Tick-tock, Sky Morgan. 72 hours until everything crashes. Can Sky stop it? Tell me in the comments if you think she'll win or lose. And smash that subscribe button, because what happens next is insane. The next morning, Sky made a decision. She called Richard. I want to do a live interview. Tonight. Richard hesitated. Are you sure? Yes. The world wants the truth. I'll give it to them. That evening, Sky sat across from Emma Chen, the country's most watched journalist. 10 million people were watching live. Emma smiled gently. Thank you for being here, Sky. Sky nodded. Emma began. The article about your mother has shocked the world. Is it true she worked at Pinnacle Corporation? Sky looked directly into the camera. Yes. My mother worked there 10 years ago. The audience gasped. Emma leaned forward. And Richard Blackstone fired her. Yes. Murmurs spread through the studio audience. Emma's voice softened. How does that make you feel? Sky took a breath. At first. Angry. Confused. Hurt. She paused. But then I realized something. What? Sky's voice grew stronger. My mother wasn't fired because she was bad at her job. She was fired because she was too good. Emma's eyes widened. Explain. Sky sat forward. My mother built the original code that Pinnacle's AI system was based on. The room went silent. She created the foundation for what became their translation software. But when she pointed out flaws, when she said the system needed to understand emotion, not just words, they ignored her. Emma's mouth opened. So when she made one mistake, they used it as an excuse to get rid of her. Because she challenged them. The audience erupted. Emma raised her hand for quiet. Do you have proof of this? Sky pulled out a folder. I do. She handed it to Emma. Inside were old emails. Code samples. Notes in her mother's handwriting. Emma read them on camera. Her face changed. These are incredible. Sky's voice didn't waver. My mother was a genius. But she was poor. Immigrant. A woman. So they took her ideas and erased her name. The camera zoomed in on Sky's face. That's why I built HeartSpeak. Not for revenge. But to finish what she started. Emma's eyes glistened. Sky, that's... My mother died believing she failed, Sky interrupted. Her voice cracked. But she didn't. She built the future. She just didn't live to see it. Silence filled the studio. Then someone in the audience stood. Then another. Then everyone. Standing ovation. Emma wiped her eyes. What do you want people to know about your mother? Sky looked at the camera. Her name was Maria Morgan. She spoke 6 languages. She cleaned floors to feed me. And she taught me that words have power, but only if someone listens. She paused. The world didn't listen to her. But I did. And now, billions of people use the work she started. Emma nodded slowly. Thank you, Sky. The interview ended. But backstage, Sky's phone exploded. Messages flooded in. Your mother was a hero. We're sorry we didn't know. You honored her perfectly. Richard was waiting in the hall. Sky walked past him. Then stopped. She turned back. You were in the front row, she said. Richard's eyes were red. Tears on his face. I heard every word, he whispered. Sky walked up to him. You already did, she said quietly. You gave me what my mama wanted. A chance to be heard. Richard's chest heaved. He couldn't speak. Sky hugged him. For the first time in 10 years, Richard Blackstone broke down completely. The camera crews had left. The audience was gone. Just the two of them. A man who made a terrible mistake. And a girl who forgave him anyway. But neither of them knew. In 48 hours, everything they built together would be on the edge of total destruction. The interview clip hit 1 billion views in 18 hours. Fastest in history. Every platform shared it. Every country talked about it. Sky's name trended worldwide. But she didn't see any of it. Because the next morning, alarms blared at Pinnacle Tower. Sky was in her apartment when Richard called. Get here. Now. Emergency. She arrived in 15 minutes. The server room was chaos. Engineers ran everywhere. Screens flashed red warnings. Richard stood in the center, pale. What's happening? Sky asked. An engineer turned. Heartspeak is corrupting. Fast. Sky's blood turned cold. What? Someone planted a virus. It's spreading through the core system. Sky pushed past him to the main terminal. Lines of code scrolled rapidly. She scanned them. Her hands flew across the keyboard. How long do we have? She asked. 6 hours. Maybe less. After that, the entire system crashes. Sky's mind raced. And if it crashes? The engineer's voice shook. Every government, hospital, and school using Heartspeak loses communication. Worldwide. Richard grabbed her shoulder. Can you stop it? Sky didn't answer. She just typed. Faster. 4 hours later, Sky was still at the terminal. Her eyes burned. Her fingers ached. But she couldn't stop. Richard brought her coffee. Sky, you need to rest. No time. You've been at this for. I said no time, she snapped. Richard stepped back. Sky's voice softened. I'm sorry. I can't let this fail. Richard knelt beside her. Why? Sky's hands paused. Because if Heartspeak dies, my mother's legacy dies with it. Her voice cracked. She built the foundation. I built the future. If I can't protect it, then everything she suffered for was for nothing. Richard's chest tightened. That's not true. It is, Sky whispered. She died believing she was a failure. I can't let her be right. Tears fell on the keyboard. Richard pulled her into a hug. She didn't resist. She just cried. For the first time in years. Then her computer beeped. Sky pulled away. Looked at the screen. A message appeared. Stop trying. You can't win. MS. Sky's eyes narrowed. MS. Richard leaned in. Malcolm Steele. Sky's jaw clenched. Global Link's CEO. Richard nodded. He's been trying to destroy us for years. Sky's hands returned to the keyboard. But this time, her fingers moved differently. Purposefully. Richard watched. What are you doing? Sky didn't answer. She typed one final command. Hit enter. The screen went black. Everyone froze. Then, slowly, green text appeared. Virus quarantined. System restored. Origin traced. An address flashed on screen. Global Link headquarters. The room erupted in cheers. But Sky didn't smile. She stood. Grabbed her jacket. Where are you going? Richard asked. To end this. 30 minutes later, Sky walked into Global Link's lobby. Security tried to stop her. I'm here to see Malcolm Steele, she said calmly. Do you have an appointment? Sky pulled out her phone. Showed them a screenshot of the virus trace. Tell him Sky Morgan is here. And I have proof he committed cyber-terrorism. The guards' faces went white. One made a call. 5 minutes later, Sky was escorted to the top floor. Malcolm Steele sat behind a massive desk. Smiling. Miss Morgan. What a surprise. Sky placed her phone on his desk. The virus code. The trace. Everything. You tried to destroy Heartspeak. Malcolm's smile didn't fade. Prove it. Sky pressed play. A recording played. Malcolm's voice, activate the virus. Now. His smile vanished. Where did you? Your own servers, Sky said. You left a trail. Malcolm stood. His face red. You hacked me. No, Sky said calmly. I traced you. Legally. She leaned forward. And now the FBI has this recording. Enjoy prison. Malcolm's hands shook. Sky turned to leave. Wait, he said. She stopped. Malcolm's voice cracked. Why? Why does a girl like you get to win? Sky looked back. Because I didn't build Heartspeak to beat you. I built it to honor my mother. She walked out. And as the elevator doors closed, Malcolm Steele collapsed into his chair. Destroyed. Sky walked out of Global Link's building. Cameras were already there. Someone had tipped off the press. Reporters swarmed her. Miss Morgan. Did you just confront Malcolm Steele? Is it true he tried to destroy Heartspeak? What happens now? Sky stopped. She looked directly at the cameras. Yes. Malcolm Steele planted a virus in Heartspeak. He tried to collapse the system that billions of people depend on. Gasps rippled through the crowd. But he failed, Sky continued. Because my mother taught me something he never learned. She paused. Every camera zoomed in. She said, build with love, and nothing built with hate can destroy it. Silence. Then one reporter asked, what will happen to him? Sky's voice was calm. The FBI has the evidence. That's not my decision anymore. Another voice shouted, how does it feel to win? Sky looked down. Then back up. It doesn't feel like winning. It feels like surviving. She walked away. The footage aired within minutes. But this time, something different happened. The clip didn't just go viral. It exploded. 1 billion views in 6 hours. Then 2 billion. Then 5. By the end of the day, it was the most watched video in internet history. Comments flooded every platform. She's only 18 and she took down a billionaire CEO. This is what real strength looks like. Her mother raised a warrior. Never underestimate a humble heart. Major news outlets covered it non-stop. CNN, teen genius exposes corporate sabotage. BBC, the girl who saved global communication. Al Jazeera, Sky Morgan, a voice for the voiceless. Even the president tweeted, proud of young leaders like Sky Morgan. She represents the best of our future. Back at Pinnacle Tower, Richard watched the numbers climb. Marcus walked in. Sir, the servers are overloaded. Too much traffic. Richard smiled. Good problem to have. His phone rang. It was the UN Secretary General. Mr. Blackstone, we'd like to award Miss Morgan the Global Peace Medal for her contributions to international communication. Richard's eyes widened. She's 18. And she's done more for world peace than most people do in a lifetime. Richard hung up. He found Sky on the roof. She was sitting on the edge, legs dangling, staring at the city. You know you're famous now, right? Richard said. Sky didn't turn. I know. Richard sat beside her. 1 billion views. In a single day. Sky nodded slowly. The UN wants to give you a medal. Sky finally looked at him. For what? For changing the world. Sky looked back at the city. I didn't change the world. I just finished what Mama started. Richard's throat tightened. They sat in silence for a long time. Then Sky whispered, do you think she saw it? Richard knew who she meant. Yeah, he said quietly. I think she saw everything. Sky smiled. For the first time in days, it reached her eyes. Below them, the city buzzed. Screens everywhere showed her face. Her words. Her story. But up on that roof, Sky wasn't thinking about fame. She was thinking about a woman who cleaned floors. Who spoke 6 languages. Who died believing she failed. And Sky whispered into the wind. We did it, Mama. They finally heard you. The wind carried her words away. And somewhere, somehow, Maria Morgan smiled. Did that hit you in the heart? Comment, Mama's legacy, if you felt that. And if this story touched you, subscribe and share it, because stories like this deserve to be heard. We're almost at the end. Don't stop now. Because her daughter didn't just survive. She soared. 1 month later, Sky stood on a stage in Geneva. The entire world was watching. Behind her, a banner read, the Maria Morgan Foundation, Bridging Cultures, Building Peace. Thousands filled the hall. World leaders sat in the front row. Sky stepped to the microphone. My mother never got to stand on a stage like this. Her voice echoed through the silence. She never wore fancy clothes. Never shook hands with presidents. Never had her photo on a magazine. She paused. But she had something more valuable than all of that. The audience leaned in. She had words. And she knew how to use them to build bridges instead of walls. Sky looked across the crowd. That's why today, I'm launching the Maria Morgan Foundation. A global initiative to teach children the power of language. Not for business. Not for profit. But for peace. Applause began. Sky raised her hand. We'll provide free language education to 1 million children in the first year. In war zones. In refugee camps. In communities torn apart by misunderstanding. The applause grew louder. Because my mother believed, and I believe, that if we can teach a child to understand someone different from them, we can stop the next war before it starts. The hall erupted. Standing ovation. Cameras flashed. But Sky wasn't done. Our motto is simple, she said. Words can build or destroy. Choose to build. She stepped back. The crowd roared. Richard stood in the wings, tears streaming down his face. After the ceremony, reporters surrounded Sky. "How will you fund this?" Sky smiled. "I'm donating 50% of HeartSpeak's profits." "Forever." Gasps. "That's millions of dollars." Sky nodded. "My mother died with nothing. I won't let another mother's dream die because of money." One journalist pushed forward. "Sky, you're only 18. Don't you want to enjoy your success?" Sky's face grew serious. "I am enjoying it. By making sure other kids don't grow up like I did. Watching their mothers break themselves for a chance." She looked directly at the camera. "If you want to help, go to mariafoundation.org. Donate. Volunteer. Teach a child a new language. Be the bridge." The interview ended. But the website crashed within an hour. Too much traffic. $10 million in donations in the first day. By the end of the week, 50 million. Celebrities shared it. Athletes posted about it. Students organized fundraisers. The movement spread like wildfire. 3 months later, the first Maria Morgan Learning Center opened in Syria. 50 children. 10 languages. 1 mission. Sky attended the opening. She sat with the kids. Taught them Japanese phrases. Laughed when they mispronounced words. Hugged them when they got it right. A little girl, maybe 7, tugged on Sky's sleeve. "Miss Sky." Sky knelt down. "Yes. Is your mama watching you?" Sky's chest tightened. "I hope so." The girl smiled. "I think she is. Because you're helping us like she helped you." Sky's eyes filled with tears. She pulled the girl into a hug. "Thank you," she whispered. That night, Sky returned to her hotel. She opened her laptop. Checked the foundation's progress. 5 learning centers approved. 10 more in development. 100,000 children on the waiting list. She closed the laptop. Pulled out her phone. Opened her photos. Found the picture of her mother. "Look, Mama," she whispered. "Your words are healing the world." She kissed the screen. Then placed the phone on her chest. And for the first time in 10 years, Sky slept peacefully. No nightmares. No fear. Just peace. Because she finally understood what her mother meant. Words don't just translate. They transform. And Maria Morgan's words were transforming millions. 1 child. 1 language. 1 heart at a time. 5 years later. Sky was 23 now. The Maria Morgan Foundation had grown beyond anything she imagined. 500 learning centers. 50 countries. 10 million children taught. HeartSpeak was used in every nation on earth. Wars had been prevented because of accurate translation. Lives had been saved. Families reunited. And through it all, one name was never forgotten. Maria Morgan. But today was different. Sky stood at the airport. 1 suitcase. 1 ticket. Destination, Tokyo. She'd been invited to lead the Global Language Institute. The biggest opportunity of her life. But before she left, there was one place she needed to go. The cemetery. It was early morning. Fog covered the ground. Sky walked slowly through the rows of graves. She'd been here 1,000 times. But today felt different. Final. She stopped in front of a simple stone. Maria Morgan. Beloved mother. Her words live on. Sky knelt down. Placed her hand on the cold stone. "Hi, Mama." Her voice was soft. "I'm leaving today. Tokyo. They want me to teach the next generation of translators. She smiled. I wish you could see it. Everything we built. The foundation. The centers. The children learning your languages. Tears ran down her face. I used to think you died believing you failed. But I was wrong. She wiped her eyes. You didn't fail, Mama. You planted seeds. And I just watered them. The wind blew gently. Leaves rustled. Sky felt it. A presence. Warm. Familiar. You were right about everything, she whispered. Words can save. They can heal. They can change the world. She pressed her forehead against the stone. I promise I'll keep building. Keep teaching. Keep honoring you. She stood slowly. Pulled a folded paper from her pocket. It was old. Worn. Her mother's handwriting. My dearest Sky, if you're reading this, I'm gone. But remember, you are not small. You are not invisible. You are my greatest translation. From struggle to strength. From pain to purpose. Speak your truth, and the world will listen. I love you. Forever. Mama. Sky had found it years ago. Hidden in an old book. She read it every time she doubted herself. Now, she placed it on the grave. I'm leaving this here, she said. Because I don't need it anymore. She smiled through tears. I finally believe it, Mama. I'm not invisible. The sun broke through the fog. Light touched the grave. Sky stepped back. Goodbye, Mama. She turned to walk away. Then stopped. Looked back one last time. You were right, Mama, she whispered. Words can save. The wind blew stronger. And for just a moment, Sky swore she heard it. Her mother's voice. Soft. Proud. Saying what she'd always said. Go, my love. Speak for those who cannot. And never, ever be silent. Sky smiled. Then walked away. Toward the future. Toward Tokyo. Toward a world that finally understood what Maria Morgan had known all along. That words aren't just sounds. They're bridges. They're hope. They're love. And one humble woman who cleaned floors had built a legacy that would outlive empires. Through her daughter. Through her foundation. Through every child who learned to say, hello, in a language not their own. Maria Morgan's promise had been kept. Words had saved. And they always would.